Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining in on today's webinar, the IEEE Smart Village webinar, where we'll be talking about the enabling technologies to combat illiteracy. And this is in commemoration of the International Day of Light celebration. So once again, welcome. We have with us here Dr. Pritpal Singh, who is the chair of the Education Committee for IEEE Smart Village. Dr. Toby Cumberbatch, who is the Education Chair for IEEE Smart Village Africa Working Group. We also have with us Dr. Sudha Balagopalan, who is the lead Vocational Awareness for the South Asia Working Group. And finally, we have Mistura Muibi-Tijani from Nigeria, who is the lead for STEM education in Africa, still also under the IEEE Smart Village. I hope I got everyone's name pronounced correctly. All right, so first up, we would have Dr. Pritpal Singh talk about ISV's approach to combating illiteracy and all the Education Committee is all about.
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Let me share my screen. Okay, so I'm going to talk about a project that we've been working on in the Galapagos Islands to improve the quality of education in the islands there. So as a little bit of background, the Galapagos Islands are, of course, one of the world's top ecological tourist destinations that are located about 1,000 kilometers west of Ecuador. And there are 5 populated islands, Santa Cruz here, San Cristobal, which is the political capital, Isabela, Floriana, and then a small island, Baltra, which is connected to Santa Cruz via a canal. So the problem in the education in the Galapagos Islands is that there's no submarine cable from the mainland of Ecuador to the islands. And so the access to the internet is through a satellite link as part of what's called the O3B network, the other 3 billion who are not connected to the internet. And this tends to be very slow and expensive, and it's mostly used by, for example, the government institutions on the islands, the hotels, and so on. So when you get to the schools, the access to the internet is very slow and expensive, and it's really very limited. And so our development, the work that we've been doing is over time, connecting all the schools on the populated islands to an intranet where we have servers with different resources. So the first edition of this was January 2019, where we connected all the schools on San Cristobal Island. This is the political capital, and we provided a number of different services. Fortunately, in the Galapagos Islands, there's a fiber optic backbone that's used by the local utility, Elect Galapagos, for communicating through a smart grid infrastructure. So we were able to tap into that and connect to all the schools and then have Wi-Fi routers within each school to distribute the information to the laptops or computers in the classroom. And we had 5 Raspberry Pi servers that provided a number of types of information like textbooks, other documentation from the Ministry of Education, and then other resources for the students to be able to access, so Khan Academy and other educational resources. So this was in January of 2019. And then the following year, we made some adjustments to the system and developed a DNS server so that students in the schools could connect to the DNS server. We also introduced individual private directories for each of the schools, upgraded the graphics interface to manage the web process through WordPress. Another feature that we added was a video conferencing service through Jitsi. And so you can see here some of our students communicating with students in another school over a video conferencing service. Of course, then we hit the pandemic and not a lot happened between 2019 and 2020. But one of the things that we did do between June of 2020 and January of 2021 was provide some access points outside the schools so that people in the communities, since the schools were closed due to the pandemic, could access the intranet resources. And so we also connected all the schools on Santa Cruz Island to the intranet. We also upgraded the servers from the Raspberry Pi servers that we used originally to more commercial grade servers through a local internet service provider, iPhoton Corp. In May of to June of 2022, we also established an inter-island link to a third island, Isabella, and two schools there on the island of Isabella, and these were connected to the intranet. We also did renewable energy workshops on the islands and installed PV systems in two schools, and also in an infocentro in the Highlands part of the islands. So this is showing the inter-island link between Santa Cruz and Isabella. And then we also have a link to San Cristobal. So all three of the islands are connected. The fourth one, Floriana, which has only about 30 students on the island, we're in the process of trying to complete that connection at the moment. So this is just a figure showing the picture showing the connection to Isabella. Every year, there's two teacher training institutes that are held by the Galapagos Conservancy in collaboration with the Ministry of Education. And what they used to do is to send a whole bunch of flash drives with the resources available on those flash drives to the communities. And then they would bring all the teachers together and have them copy the information from the flash drives over to their laptops. Now we, in the last institute last year in June, we were able to upload everything onto the servers and then they could download them from there. And so the two institutes held last year in June and in October, all the resources were provided through the intranet. So the organizations that have been collaborating in this area are iPhoton Corp, which is the local internet service provider, like Galapagos, the Beyond Chikai Foundation, Ministry of Education, Villanova University and ESPOL, the two universities. ESPOL is located in Guayaquil, Ecuador. An NGO, Un Cambio por la Vida, in the Galapagos Islands, and then the Fundación Scalesia in Galapagos, and of course IEEE and Orcatech helped with the installation of the solar electric systems. I just want to bring your attention to the IEEE Global Humanitarian Technology Conference that we will be hosting at Villanova University, October of this year. You'll see on the slide that the deadline for papers is May 15th. We have actually extended that to May 31st. So if you have some work in this humanitarian technology, using technology to address the UN Sustainable Development Goals, we would love to have you contribute and be part of the conference. So with that, I want to thank you for attending this session and be happy to answer questions during the Q&A.
Wow, thank you very much for that presentation, Dr. Pritpal. Okay, next up, we have Dr. Toby Cumberbatch.
Hi. Shall I start now?
Yes, you can go ahead.
Okay. Let me share my screen. Oops. I always forget the internet. So my screen is being shared, is it? Wait a minute, let me go. Everyone see it?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Hi. Well, when I was asked to talk today on this Day of Light about enabling technologies to combat illiteracy, I thought, how do you combine the two? And how do I, in what I do, combine the two? We're a tiny little organization which has been lighting rural communities now for about 15 years. And through a series of, I suppose, accidents, I'm chair of the education committee. So today I want to tell you a little story about light and explain how this is significant in terms of combating illiteracy. So first of all, I want people to think about small is beautiful. In other words, you know, if you're going to have a real impact in rural communities, you have to think small, you can't think big, and you have to think about how do you make this work, you know, far away from any kind of infrastructure. So I suspect most people at this meeting are used to light. You know, if you live in the so-called developed world, there's light everywhere. In fact, there's too much light. If you go to some of the more remote parts of the world, then the only light you might have maybe that from a fire. And once the sun starts to set, you know, you're basically blind and you can only navigate by touch. This means that, you know, if you have access to no artificial light or useful artificial light, then it means that your productive hours are between sunrise and sunset. So it's interesting to look at a few numbers. And if you look at the USA, then, you know, with a population of around 1/3 of a billion, we use about 12 megawatt hours per person per year. If you go to sub-Saharan Africa, you can see that sub-Saharan Africa itself, the energy use is less than, you know, it's 1/12. And if you look at very poor countries like Burkina Faso, you can see that their energy use is 0.6%, right, of what we use per person in the States. And the question is, how does this impact literacy? Well, the first thing is, of course, that, you know, when you go into a place where there isn't a lot of money, there's extreme poverty, and this has ramifications where girls especially are not well educated, so they get married young, they have babies young, and they're trapped in this cycle of intergenerational poverty. As you can see here, this young woman, she's pregnant, she's got a baby in her back and her daughter is behind her. She's carrying wood, which she might carry for up to 5 kilometers and get paid $1 for it and then turn around and walk back home. So I only looked at this a couple of days ago because I thought there must be a connection between literacy and light. And if you look here, these data are they're from a number of years, and these data are from mostly World Bank, but you can go to different sites and the numbers are going to shuffle around a bit. But basically, if you look at Africa, you can see that sub-Saharan Africa, especially, you know, the Sahel, the literacy rate is low. And if you look at this a little further, then you can see that in general, right, men tend to do better, they're more literate. And as I'm sure most people, if not everyone on this call knows, the women always end up bearing the brunt of poverty. If you look at the rate for women, you can see that the colors lighten considerably, indicating that they're less literate, and which is not surprising. And then this has other ramifications as well. You know, they get married young. You can see here this great block, right, in West Africa. If you look at the maternal death rate, You can see it in East Africa, in the Great Lakes region and West Africa, and the outlier in most of this, right, tends to be India. And if you now look at access to electricity, you can see that you can overlay all these other challenges of literacy, teenage marriage and things like that. There's a strong link between them and access to electricity. So if you look around the world, there's about 1 billion people plus minus who don't have access to electricity. And again, I think as everybody on this call probably knows, if you've got no light, you can't do anything after dark. Most people now have access to a phone. But if you don't have access to a phone, you have no connection, no access to the internet. So you add all these things together and you throw in poverty, and you're basically a forgotten community. Now, everybody might be saying, hey, there's lots of light sources out there. Well, there are, but in general, they tend to be expensive. And once you get away from urban centers, they're not available. I know, because I've traveled quite a lot through countries in East and West Africa. Once you get off the beaten track, there's nothing. And even if it was there, people can't afford it. So people tend to rely on oil lamps or in just burning things like old biomass. So in 2006, I had a class at Cooper Union in New York, and I said, design a lighting system for the poorest of the poor. And, reading and general lighting runs for 2 days on a single charge, has to be incredibly cheap. So the first thing they decided was that we should have a shared charging station, because in those days, solar panels were expensive and batteries were expensive. By having a shared resource, it means that the cost per person, right, dropped considerably. Well, our first incarnations, as you can see, were pretty crude. I mean, we had very little money, sometimes less than $1,000 a year. But the communities that had access to this, it started to become transformational. A tiny bit of clean light meant that people could, do something after dark, kids could read and all the rest of it. So we carried on, and always bearing in mind that the goal was to take this to the most remote communities. We basically designed a lighting system in a duffel bag. In other words, everything bar the housings, right, could be put in a bag and carried on somebody's head. Then we started to dream a bit more, what about a lighting system that can be made anywhere by anyone with nothing other than a PV panel that requires no technical expertise to operate, is incredibly robust and as economic as possible. Well, we've had lots of ups and downs since 2006, but I never thought this would now be what I do in my retirement. So if you think about this system, it has to satisfy all sorts of extremely difficult constraints. It has to be accessible, it has to be very low cost, it has to be extremely robust, it has to be repairable, and ultimately it has to be sustainable. So to cheapen it, housings are made from containers easily available in the local market. They're basically, a few cents. So if something breaks or they get eaten by a goat, it's no problem. You just go out and get another one. The circuits, right? This circuit on the right was actually built under this tree, right, by these high school kids in the Volta region in Ghana. With a little bit of tutelage, people who've never seen a transistor or anything can actually make working circuits. And then the kids who'd made the circuits in that previous slide were actually from this community in Nitavuta, and this was one of the lanterns that they supplied. So now the system basically has more, you can charge lanterns, you can charge cell phones, we have a Pico projector, stereo. So this means that you can actually show movies, you get a sheet, put it up in the bush, and the projector runs on 12 volts. Obviously, the amplifier runs on 12 volts, and people can then see educational movies, although most people want Nigerian soaps, but and videos in their own language. So this in principle is a great education tool. We're now moved to the west region of the eastern side of the upper west region in Ghana, right out into the middle of nowhere, where the last 25 kilometers to some of these communities is basically nothing more than a dirt path. And this is where our principal installations are at the moment. We're up to 15 and hope to be up to 50 by the end of the year. I'm running out of time. So when you sit down with somebody, you learn a lot. We were in a village some years ago, and JICA, the Japanese International Agency for Cooperation had just installed some very fancy street lights. And I remember sitting there and looking at our lights and thinking that they were really rather inferior, when compared to this Japanese light, big light that, lit a big lot of space. And this gentleman sat down next to me and he said, I much prefer your lights. And there was nothing, he wasn't trying to convince me of anything. He said, I don't want my daughter to sit outside with the mosquitoes and then have to walk through the community at the end of the day. And that was when I thought, yes, there really is, by having this small, simple light, you really can affect change. So we're based in Wa in the Upper West region of Ghana. All this is made locally, right, by these guys who go out and work with communities and install it. We have a Rolls-Royce system, basically with 12, 100, 150 watt panel. You can have, in a way, anything you want, which runs on 12 volts. And obviously you can add small inverters. So everybody knows tiny amount of light is transformational. It has the potential to reduce international migration, rural depopulation, but basically break the intergenerational cycle of poverty and help girls get educated so they get married later, etc., etc. Very quickly, we're just about to launch a competition, Let's Make Light, and it is basically to do what we've been doing, but do it properly so that it can be implemented all over the world. It's called Let's Make Light, and you can see that if the bottom, smartlighting.ieee.org/competition, we're going to launch it in about 2 weeks. Okay, we've been very fortunate to get funding from lots of different people over the years. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much for that insightful session, Dr. Toby. Next, we have Dr. Sudha Balagopalan from India, who will be speaking to us.
Yeah, so you pronounced my name appropriately, and you'll now have to help me with the slides as well. I suppose it's you?
Yes, it's me. So
okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm really sorry. I don't know what happened. Of course, I'm also a little new to this. Anyway, I bring greetings from Kerala of India, the most literate state in India. Okay, I suppose that's an answer. And as was remarked earlier, we marry late, and the girls in our state are more educated. Anyway, I bring the greetings from Kerala, India, on this International Day of Light. Let me hope that I'll be able to see the slides. Meanwhile, I'll talk a little about what we are doing. I'm very happy to represent IEEE Smart Village here, who is enabling technologies to combat illiteracy, especially because my institution, which is Vidya Academy of Science and Technology, has a vision of progress through education, and so is well aligned to the first pillar of ISV, which is education. Moving on to the fact that I am the Dean of Academics in my institution, as also a professor in electrical engineering. We work with students to enable the second concept also, a second pillar also of IEEE ISV, which is electrification. Where we heard recently the benefits of electrification. Moreover, the third pillar happens to be enterprise development, which is what is being targeted through the new initiative of ISV, South Asian Working Group, wherein we are trying to bring in vocational awareness. And this is what I'm presenting as a thematic field of engagement. So next slide, please. Right now, I am in Ireland. Next slide, please. Right now, I am in Ireland, and because I'm with my daughter, who gave birth to a beautiful baby 6 days ago, and she was the one who used to tell me that when a child is born, she sees the possibilities, but in an unequal world, the possibilities, all possibilities are not nurtured, and they are not even noticed, as was told to me by one of my former students, who said that he was watching a couple of homeless children. What he saw was that they had recovered a a box from a dump, and they were opening it so very carefully. So this diligence and focus made us feel that we should start what may be called as an e-waste management school for the homeless children, such that such talents are not lost in the waste field of e-waste. Next slide, please. So we looked for a few features, and these features are a part of our plans, but of course they have not taken off as such. We wanted to plan it as an organizational endeavor. We thought that we would network a lot of institutions such that we can have community living and garner parental support. Moreover, we would get lots of e-waste from the different institutions, and also some college students as mentors. There is university students as mentors who would be working on a dedicated curriculum on a hands-on mode, such that livelihood and enterprises can be created. Okay. So next slide, please. But of course, as these were challenges one too many, so we had to go for. So now I see that this ISV, Vocational Awareness Initiative, happens to match with some of the challenges and perhaps offer some solutions, especially because we have the might of IEEE behind us. We have several institutions supporting us in this initiative, and also individuals who themselves are institutions. And we also see that we don't need to run behind the homeless children, because government projects are ready to absorb trained candidates. And we also have this snap circuits, this magical snap circuits as starters for building up this initiative. Next slide, please. We also set up collaborations with the SOS villages here, and they are successful models of community living. Moreover, we have training based on the manuals, based on the kids themselves. It's easy to train mentors. And we also created some videos such that some fun can also be had along with the education. And to navigate this career path, we realized that sustainability is important, and that is so. Next slide, please. In what we see from amongst the success. So this is the last slide. From amongst the successful candidates who have come out from the successful graduates of SOS villages, wherever they go, whatever they have become, they always go back. They always give back, and they remain connected. So this gave rise to the platform for a dream project. Next slide, please. Conceived by Dr. Rajan Kapoor, who is the president of ISV, who also with a lifetime of observations and hypothesis, brought together some components and methodologies targeting a particular outcome. Next slide, please. So now we have trained a few near peer mentors, near in age, near in proximity. So, and they visit these villages twice in a month, and they train 5 students, at the most 5 students as a group on one kit each. Okay, and so at this point of time, we have now slowly made baby steps into 5 SOS villages. Please, next slide. They are Hojai and Guwahati in Assam. We have also we are treading softly and but surely into Alibag, and as also another village in Maharashtra. We have definitely made some inroads in Kerala, that is an SOS village in Thrissur, because of the motivations that we have had from the support of IEEE, from the collaborators of SOS villages, because of the beauty that is there in the snap circuits, and then again the enthusiasm of our mentors, as also the natural curiosity of our mentees, that is the children, and because we share experience in our lead group. Okay, next slide, please. So we have gone a long way. These are some of the pictures that we carry with us because we went there thrice, and we see that there's a lot of curiosity, there is a lot of creativity, and they work. Next slide, please. They work as individuals, they work in groups, they use the manuals, they use the mentors, and everyone gets his or her chance on the snap circuit. So we have a lot of tinkering going on. Please, next slide. And this has been a very happy journey for us. We have learned a lot from the children. We have learned a lot from the mentors. The entire ISV initiative is going places. And so now we are looking elsewhere. We are trying to answer, we are going further. We need to answer 3 questions. Is there a need is one question. And do we have the resources for that? And where next? Okay, so next slide, please. So we see that, next slide, please. We see that there are several schools in my own state, which is Kerala, as also in the neighboring state, which is Tamil Nadu, which lack resources. There is definitely a resource issue. There is also a technology adequacy issue, and we have some dropouts from the schools. And so to arrest that, we feel that the hands-on mode, we believe that the hands-on mode maybe of the vocational awareness program that we are going through would be helpful. Anyway, we see that technology is very much welcome, as also any kind of human intervention is also welcomed in these schools. Next slide, please. So we have gone on to experimenting with our resources. We see that as of now, we have a very proactive and contributing alumni. We have a well-aligned management. We have supportive colleagues, a vibrant group of students, the attractive features, the snap circuits, and the well-designed scheme of this vocational awareness program. We also have a good support system going on in our midst as well. Okay, next slide, please. So now we are moving on to another 5 schools shown here, which is a part of our empowerment program of my own institution. And we will be churning out 200 students perhaps by the end of this year. Okay, moving on. Next slide. And this is also, of course, you won't be able to see the slide there. So the slide was telling us how the children would be working on the snap circuits and the interest there. We also see that the teacher intervention must be prevented, and we should go on for what is called as the near peer mentorship. And so we are now going on to another district in our neighboring state, which is Tamil Nadu, and we call it as a Tirunelveli project. And the mentoring or the training of the trainers is going to happen on this 22nd, and we'll be again working on 14 schools and 569 students. Next slide, please. So far, the outcomes that we have achieved happens to be that we have mobilized a set of youngsters. We have also awakened curiosity amongst the mentees. They have started asking questions. The counselors on both sides, that is from my institution as also in the SOS villages, have come to the same page, and the entire ISV lead team. Okay, we can see some pictures here, are working as a single team, sharing experiences. Next slide. Long-term outcomes are, we hope that we'll be able to give a level playing field, and that the community development will become a career option for the mentors, that we will go on to the several phases of vocational trades, to equip the little children, and we will also equip the mentors with a corporate way of life. And we also feel that many institutions can come together to support the vulnerable communities in this scheme or in this program. We hope that the IEEE Smart Villages vision will be fulfilled. Okay, finally, the next slide. I'm trying to put up some measurable outcomes as in a quantitative basis. We have 28 states and 8 union territories in India. We have started on 5 states. We hope that in 4 years, we'll go on to all 28 states or perhaps some union territories as well. We have moved into 40 schools by the end of this year. We would have moved into 40 schools by the end of this year. So let's hope that in 4 years, we'll cover 500 schools in this scheme. That is the scaling up that we are planning to have. So also from 1,000 children by the end of this year to 25,000 children by the end of 4 years. Okay, and SOS villages, we might cover them all. Right now, we have moved into 5 SOS villages, perhaps all 32. Okay, finally, I rest my case. The last slide, please. The last slide. Okay, so I'm reiterating that the Vocational Awareness Program of South Asian Working Group of ISV is standing firmly on all the three pillars of education, electrification, and enterprise development through the Vocational Awareness Program. And I thank all of you, as also my entire team, of whom you can see the pictures here. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much for that, Dr. Sudha.
Thank you to you too for helping me with the slides. Okay, just in time. Thank you.
It's all good. You're welcome. Engineer Mistura, are you ready to? Yes. All right, I'm going to stop sharing now. Thank you.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes,
good afternoon. Yeah, good day, everybody. So it's irrespective of where we are. Good afternoon from Nigeria. So my name is Mistura Muibi-Tijani, and I am the founder of VertSTEM and also an ISV volunteer. So through my platform, our mission is to make STEM education accessible to all, including those living in energy-deprived locations who cannot afford their computing resources. So we are passionate about reaching out to people in neglected communities in societies whereby the residents cannot even afford their own computers, places where people have even never touched computers, where access to internet is a big deal. So that's what's driving us. So like I said, I've worked with IEEE Nigerian section, IEEE Smart Village volunteer. We are a beneficiary of the SNAP circuit skills that she just mentioned, and they've really like enhanced our outreach. Like it's a best way to like engage the kids, and usually it stimulates their interest. So I am also an IEEE STEM champion, and I have access to resources on Shrine Engineering. So they are perfect ways to engage kids in STEM. So basically, I conduct STEM outreaches on behalf of IEEE STEM. So for this webinar, I've been asked to talk about the motivation behind what we do, and then the impact of our STEM initiative. So the motivation, so it actually started when during the COVID lockdown, when I came across this picture on Facebook. So it was more or less like while people were on lockdown, whereby everybody was not engaged in any activity. So I saw this and I was like, I'm not against online teaching. So, but what about us? So this got to me because I actually know people in this situation. I know people in communities like this that because of the lockdown, they are practically at home doing nothing. So while other people in the country, especially people in developed communities like Lagos, Abuja, were at least leveraging on online resources, maybe like they were connected to their teachers through WhatsApp, through Zoom classes. So, but there were really some category of people at home doing nothing. So what did I do? I tried to reach out to a teacher in the community, in this type of community, specifically Ibarapa. So I asked him to help get the students and let me even know how they are learning and what they're doing at that time. And so I sent out a Google form for them to fill. So now it was after I sent the form to him, like that he responded that which phone or computer are they going to use? So it was as that crazy, like they don't even have access to computers. And so at the end of the day, I had to like print out hard copy of this paper to get feedback on how they were learning. And so basically I just asked them that, are they enrolled in any activity? What courses, do they have access to computer? What resources were they learning from during the COVID? And the most important thing that I asked them was like, if I want to set up a facilities in the community whereby because they don't have computers, they can learn from that facilities, how much can they afford? So, and the result was that for 3 months, they can afford to pay 3. So, which is actually something very poor that cannot even enable. So another motivation was when I visited the community, this young man here, I met him. So in fact, his mom is my friend. And, you know, I was talking to him, I was like, what are your career goals? What do you want to be in the future? Do you know what it means to be a medical doctor? Do you know that you have to pursue higher education? Do you know that you have to go to medical schools? So when I was talking to him, like, he has no clue about what the future holds for him. So I was like a bit shocked. So I told him, okay, come back tomorrow. But then when you get home, talk to your mom and ask her that, mom, what would they want? Like, talk to your mom. So the following day he came back and it was more like, okay, his mommy did not answer him or something like that. So I feel bad, like community that at your age you don't even have future ambition. So while I was pleased on the television, because it was actually in my living room, so it was like, okay, on the television for me, I want to watch TV. So it was also at that moment that I also knew that they don't have TV at home. So practically, there's actually nothing for them to inspire him. Like, there was actually nothing to like that they can look forward to. So that was in Africa that they don't have access to electricity, the internet is for they don't have access to computers. So that's the story for like 109 million Nigerians that survive on less than $2. I mean, that's the scenario.
Wow, I think there's an audio problem. Maybe something about the network. Okay, I think she's back now.
For some time, I couldn't hear her at all. I was hearing a lot of. Is it applicable to all of you?
Yeah, I think it happens to everyone. I think it's an issue with her network. Hello, Mistura, can you hear us? Just in case you're on mute.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can now.
Okay, sorry. So where do you lose me?
Yeah, you could just go on.
Okay, so this is our impact now. So April 2023, that was last month. We conducted
your screen again.
Huh?
Your screen.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Okay, so we've tried to like reach out to these communities to encourage them to pursue STEM careers. This is the latest one that we had, April 2023. This was in Lagos. It was more or less to celebrate Art Day and then to increase our then the rules of renewable energy. January 2023, it was done in this community. So in fact, I said I asked question, I invited him to the program, although most audience were people in the secondary school level, so like K9 to secondary school levels in Nigeria. So the major event that they actually was the community leaders on the rules that it's important that we as a stakeholder encourage our kids to like pursue careers in STEM. So it was really honor the event. Next one, November 2020, I'll be having that event. So I started to like create this give out to the students to really encourage them. I remember growing up that my best day at school were days that I have a beautiful book to use in school. So why not give them a beautiful them? So at least it's STEM written all over them, and I have a message for them that STEM drives the careers of the future, and it is gratifying. That STEM education affords people the skills that are more employable for today's market, and that when they study STEM, they have the potential to make a real impact in the world. So that was my message. And then I have a picture here that I'm allowed to use as an IEEE STEM champion on how they can change the world. So looking at this group, it's easy for them to know what it means to be an electrical engineer, biomedical engineer, all those questions that the young boy will not answer. And also they can have this easily. So this was what we used as a souvenir at the event. October 2022, so the snap circuits that IEEE Smart Village gave us, it's actually been very, very impactful. So at home with my neighbors, I just try to like engage the kids on their birthdays, and everybody's happy. September 2022 was actually trying to like look at the solution, the problem of the community. And then I was lucky to be invited by this man. He runs a school and after school in the community. So it was an opportunity for me to even ask him that, these students, how much do you charge them? Do they pay? And although it teaches normal skills, not computer education, but his response like made me my decision to know that, okay, these people, most of them don't pay. So at the end of the day, he has to like reach out and seek for donations. So there's a lot of work to be done. Like you have to also think of how I can make the initiative sustainable. Charging these students is not the way to go. They can't afford it. So yeah, so this was meeting with the royal fathers to like tell them to be our supporters. So if they can be our partner, they can help us get grants and donations from them. When I visited the young boys' school, so I had to allow the young boy to join them in class, because it was actually the motivation behind my impact. So this was in a class, and they all raised up their hands after my speech, and then I asked them that who among you wants to be an engineer? And so that, oh yes, they want to be an engineer. So June 2022, this was also an awareness poster at the community, so that perhaps people can buy into this initiative, and for empowerment skills like initiative in the local communities, they can call. So by the end of the day, it's students that call me. I'm actually looking for sponsors for students call, but most times when they call, they just like, okay, I want to study electrical engineering. And I'll just advise them to like, okay, this is what you do, this is what you do. So, but then that's the purpose. May 2022, okay, IEEE Smart Village at Abuja, Nigeria. We organized a STEM outreach event just to like introduce the participants to the world of autonomous vehicles. So this was sponsored and supported by IEEE Smart Village at NigerCon 2022. So January 2022 was our first outreach program that we had in collaboration with IEEE STEM. So it was also at the community. So what our outreaches did for us, like it helped us understand the problem. So I can remember during this outreach when I had to like on a generator set for me to like power the speakers and what I'll be used. And the students brought out their small mobile phones to come and charge. So it was actually at that moment I also realized that, wow, so they don't even have access to electricity. Like any opportunity for them to charge their mobile phones, they are going to bring out the mobile phone. So at the end of the day, the whole idea is like the community is solar powered computer hub, and then we are working hard to get people to support our initiatives. So that is that. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, so I can stop here since it's 10 minutes already.
Okay. Thank you very much for that, Mistura. Thank you very much to all our panelists and guest speakers today. We really appreciate your time. Now, I'm going to ask if we have any questions from the audience, from our listeners here on Zoom and also on YouTube. I think we have a question from Tabang Mulyane. Tabang Mulyane is the chairperson of IEEE Smart Village student branch at the University of Johannesburg, South Africa. And he says this: we are trying to bring change in our communities, especially with smart village projects, but we struggle with funding. What channels can we follow to get assistance? That's the first question here. So I'm going to direct that to Dr. Singh.
Yeah, there's a number of sources of funding from IEEE. The Smart Village, of course, is supporting IEEE Smart Village student branches. And then there's HTB, Humanitarian Technology Board, and SITE, Special Interest Group in Humanitarian Technology. So these are all opportunities to apply for funding through IEEE. You might also be able to get support from your university, depending on what you're trying to get support for. So these are some of the options that I can think of right away.
Great. Thank you very much for that. So so this is also a general question. Since the theme here is enabling technologies to combat illiteracy, which means we have to, at some point, go into the interior regions to try and make this, to improve the access to not just education, but as well as energy and help them improve their livelihood. So when doing this, do you face any form of setback, especially from the community, or is this always or are they always welcome to change? Because I know, for example, you might experience some sort of negative or cold shoulder from them. So how do we go about making them realize that what we are trying to do is for their own benefits?
I'll give an answer. Where we work, it is the communities that come to us. In the early days, we had a few misunderstandings, but it wasn't really anything to do with us. It was the fact that they had access to light. No, I mean, I suppose a bigger challenge outside the community is local and central government. They don't really provide any assistance, right, for these extremely remote communities. It would be nice to have their support.
Okay. Let's see. All right. So one more question here. Would still directed at Dr. Toby. Would you like to share more information about the smart lighting competition and how the general audience can be a part of it?
Okay, so this smart lighting competition is literally open to anybody. You have to be a part of some organization, I mean, I don't think there's anything stopping you from forming a group of 3 or 4 people and starting some kind of NGO and then apply. There are 3 tracks. There's the technology in quotes, which is the basic lantern design and thinking about how you would manufacture it. There's a second track is how you start a business inside a country where you take it from the place where it's manufactured and distribute it. And then there's the local implementation. You know, how do you connect to people, local people who are connected to the end communities, understand the culture, know how to get there, etc. And also how are going to people know how people might pay in addition to setting up local repair facilities. So there are, you know, a myriad of opportunities that on the website we have attempted to write enough so that everybody can see exactly what is required, but obviously, you know, we're here to answer any questions. So if you think you can, you know, do one part of this or all 3 parts, then, you know, we really do encourage you to apply. We're looking for thinking outside the box, something revolutionary. How do you light, you know, 1 billion people who are impoverished and live in the middle of nowhere?
Thank you very much for that information. One more question here from Patroba Singh. He's asking, have you thought of applying some business models to enhance the sustainability of these projects, e.g. supporting, say, PV projects alongside enlightening them with opportunities like selling the PV products, charging technicians to those using the projects? So to better rephrase the question and maybe just add one more so that Dr. Sudha would also be able to give a response to this. It's like saying, in terms of the vocational awareness which is being done, is there a track or a pipeline, so to speak, that ensures that they are not just trained, but they also get some form of support to be able to start their own businesses?
Yeah, exactly. In fact, that is something that I tried to convey. First, of course, curiosity is required. Thereafter, some kind of creativity will be encouraged. And thereafter, we are trying to go to several phases such that they can, finally, livelihood creation is our end aim, livelihood creation. So definitely, all 3 phases, all 3 pillars are useful here. And we are hoping that we'll be able to support them till the very end. And this support is useful in the sense that the support is more powerful in the sense that the mentors happen to be very near to them in age. They are either engineering college students or they are ITI. We call them as ITI holders, where they learn some kind of technology at a very initial stage, or they might be even +2 students, where that is after we have a pattern of education wherein we have 10 years of schooling, and then we have a higher secondary schooling of 2 years. So these students are called as +2 students here. So either them or they are the very young students who have been introduced to technology are going to be hand holders and be with them, such that together they can set up some enterprises, etc. Okay, so enterprise development is definitely a very important target that we are looking for with these young children who do not have. Though I suppose you know that in SOS villages, the children who live there are orphans, mostly orphans. So they need some kind of exposure. They need some kind of hand-holding, which is what the engineering college students are giving them right now. This is the path. This is the track that we are trying to develop. So this is only for phase 1, wherein we are setting up this awareness program. And we are happy to help the other lady here I don't get the name properly because we are going a long way in the snap circuits portion. We'll try to help you if you are willing to accept help.
That's Mistura.
Yeah, Mistura. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. We would like to help you in the snap circuit domain. As also for our students who would like to do some any kind of help, even for the STEM for the STEM education system. Okay, and we are also interested in the lighting aspect because my students are all electrical engineering students. So definitely we are interested in all the topics that we're talking. Okay. I suppose I've answered more than required. Okay, thank you. Thank you for giving me an opportunity. We'd like to be in touch with everyone here.
Yeah, thank you very much.
If I may add something, I think one of the things I'm hearing from all our panelists here is all over the world, we're trying to engage students in helping their communities. And I think that's a wonderful way to move forward because oftentimes in universities, there's outreach programs or community service programs. Some of these are required for the students for graduating. And my experience has been that these students, as Dr. Sudha pointed out, they're close in age to the students that they're working with the children. Yeah. And so they're very well able to connect with those young children. Yeah, and so I think it's a really good opportunity. And again, with our friends in South Africa at the ISV student branch there, I think it's wonderful to see these engagements with communities. So I would like to encourage more of that with all the connections that you have in different universities.
Thank you. We'll go ahead, definitely. And we'll try to help each other as well.
Exactly.
Let there be no barriers.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that extra addition. So yes, IEEE Smart Village Education Committee has enlightened us once again on how they are using technologies to combat illiteracy. And it's not just on one front, but on multiple fronts. It's taking place here in the South Asia, it's taking place in Latin America, it's taking place in Africa, and we're working our way towards North America as well as Europe as well. So thank you very much, Dr. Pritpal. Thank you, Dr. Toby. Thank you, Dr. Sudha. Thank you, Mistura, for your time. And thank you, everyone, to our participants for your lovely questions and your attendance and for being a part of this session. So
thank you all.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just hold on. Let's take a group photograph. Just take quick screenshots. See if I can get everyone. Let's say ISV.
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 All right. Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Oluleki, for organizing this webinar.
Thank you again. If you can share your email IDs, we would be able to keep in touch such that we can help each other. If we are all trying to better the situation for the community, isn't it? Okay, thank you again.
Very good.
Bye-bye.